Idische, Stongo, Helito, Chinchigma, Ocio. Welcome to another podcast of Native Wings Like an Eagle organization. I'm Melvin Battiest. I'm the executive director of Native Wings. And in this podcast, I'm just going to give you an update of the visit to Albuquerque, New Mexico that Native Wings attended. And I'm also going to share with you a citation that was given to Native Wings from the Oklahoma State Senate. So join us as we come back and hear what Native Wings is up to. Welcome back to Native Wings Like an Eagle podcasts. And today, what I want to do is I want to be able to first and foremost just thank you for watching. You know, it's such a blessing to know that many of you are interested in Native Wings, and we've been getting a lot of subscribers, and that's what it's about, getting the word out about what Native Wings is doing, and so grateful that you have an interest. So what I want to do right now is I want to be able to share with you something that Native Wings was presented to back when we had our grand opening for a cultural center. Again, let me kind of tell you how this all came about. Back in February, me and my wife Tammy was invited to Washington, D.C. We was invited to attend the President's National Prayer Breakfast. And what a blessing it is to be able to go and sit among a lot of dignitaries of the world, to be able to sit and talk with them and learn about what's going on in their countries and be able to share what Native Wings was doing here in Oklahoma. So we got a lot of interest there. Well, while we were there, Tammy had met a senator from Oklahoma. His name is Shane Jett. And Tammy had met with him and they talked about Native Wings, and then later Tammy came to me. She goes, "Hey, I met this senator and I really need you to talk to him because I need you to share your story with them." And so I was interested, but we never ran into him again in Washington, D.C., so we come back to Oklahoma. And while we were back, Tammy told me she had his card. She said, "Call him and see if you can meet with him." So I did. And he quickly had a meeting with us. And so the day before our grand opening, me and Tammy went to the state capitol and we went and met with Senator Jett and had a great meeting with him. And he's Cherokee. And so we talked about the Native American representatives in the House of Representatives and in the Senate of the state, and how many were a part of this political system. And he was just really excited to hear about what Native Wings is doing. And so I told him at that time, I said, "Listen, we're having a grand opening tomorrow. We're opening a cultural center." And I explained the purpose for the cultural center. And I invited him to come. He said, "Yeah, me and my wife will come." Okay, so the next day as we're getting ready to start, Senator Jett shows up and his wife. And he comes up and he says, "If you don't mind, could I have a little time to share something?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we kicked off the festivities, and after I spoke, then I looked at Senator Jett and I welcomed him up to speak. When we got up, he got up with this blue folder here. And then he said, "I have come today for a presentation to give to Melvin and Tammy Battiest and their work with Native Wings Like an Eagle here in Oklahoma." And I was just surprised because I didn't know that the senator had come to do this. And anyway, what he did was he opened up that blue folder and he began to read. And I'm going to share with you what this citation says, because I'm just so humbled but grateful to have this a part of Native Wings. So let me share with you what it says. It is right up here, the state of Oklahoma. Citation, Melvin and Tamara Battiest. Now, we all know that when you hear the word citation, usually it's not a good thing, but this is a good thing. And here's what it says. It says, whereas the destiny of our society and the kingdom of Christ depends on the willingness of courageous men and women to accept the responsibility of a higher calling and work for the good of their community. And whereas Melvin and Tamara Battiest, members of the Muskogee Creek Nation and graduates of Wetumpka High School, have traveled a hard and sometimes unfair road in their life's journey, they have used each bump along the way as a milestone of strength and wisdom to help shape and guide others along the way. Incarcerated in 1984, Melvin received salvation while in a maximum security facility through a Damascus Road experience with Jesus Christ in 1995 that totally transformed his life. For the following 26 years, he preached the gospel while imprisoned. Tamara continued her education and served as a physical education teacher at Middale Public Schools for 23 years. Reunited after 32 years of separation, Melvin and Tamara now serve together, not only sharing their story, but also sharing the love of Christ with everyone they can along the way. And whereas Melvin and Tamara Battiest, worthy citizens of the state of Oklahoma and treasured members of their community, have worked tirelessly for the cause of the gospel of Jesus Christ, having founded Native Wings Like an Eagle Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization offering reintegration services to Native American men and women released from incarceration living outside their respective reservation boundaries, and Native Wings Ministry, ministering at 5 prisons across Oklahoma and recognizing the needs of their community, have opened a cultural center and host a weekly podcast in an effort to reach as many people as they can, to share their story, to educate, to encourage, minister to, pray with, and lift up others when life has knocked them down. And whereas this is a most appropriate time for the Oklahoma State Senate, on behalf of the people of the state of Oklahoma, to express its appreciation for their worthwhile contributions and offer its most sincere gratitude and thanks to Melvin and Tamara Battiest for their dedication and service to the people of Oklahoma. It is our pleasure to celebrate with you. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Senator Shane Jett, the Oklahoma State Senate extends to Melvin and Tamara Battiest best wishes and directs that this citation be presented. And it was signed by Senator Shane Jett, and it put the Cherokee symbol at the back, at the bottom next to his name. He told me that this has brought Native Wings Like an Eagle to be recorded in the congressional record of the state of Oklahoma. I find it ironic because the state that would not allow me out of prison is now recognizing me for my work outside of prison. And again, only Creator can do things like this. So me and Tammy are very, very humbled, but we're very, very thankful that the state Senate of the state of Oklahoma has presented us with the citation of recognition for the work that we're doing here at Native Wings. We don't do it for these things, but it's always a blessing when people recognize your work. You know, the Bible says in Romans chapter 1, verse 8, that God will cause your testimony to be known throughout the whole world. And so I just wanted to share that because this is something that is just so important to Native Wings. And so I just always thank God for what he's doing here with Native Wings, and he keeps bringing more and more people to partner with us and to just be able to share what we're doing. Because see, we got to do this together. Not one organization can do the whole thing. We're all a part of a big puzzle that we can work together and change the lives of people who may not have that greater chance because of they've been impacted by the justice system. So I'm always thankful for help that comes our way that says, hey, we want to help you, help your people. So anyway, that was so awesome, and I wanted to share that with you because it's important to Native Wings. Also, this past week, Native Wings was invited to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to be a part of the 32nd Annual Association of American Indian Physicians Conference. Now, this is so wonderful because, number one, when the invitation was given to me to be a guest speaker at this conference that's made up with Native American physicians and medicine men and spiritual leaders, they asked me to come and be a guest speaker. And of course, I'm like, I don't know nothing about being a physician. I don't know nothing about, modern medicine. Why would you want me to come and speak? But the invitation was, we want to hear what you're doing with the people after they come out of prison, because it's all about taking care of each other, and that's what medicine does. Medicine helps us. And so we were invited, I believe it was on April the 24th, I was invited to be a speaker at this conference. So me and my wife went the night before, and we spent the night, and then the next day we went to the conference. And it was such a blessing to meet Native physicians from all over the United States were in attendance here at this conference, all the way from prominent doctors to humble yet strong medicine men of their people, talking about the importance of the medicine that they prescribe and what they develop for the Native people. And I sat in awe, listened to some of these elders who were medicine men from the Navajo Nation, the Dene, or from the Pueblos around New Mexico, and then other doctors and physicians from different nations, Indian nations across the United States. And then when it was time, they gave me a session to speak. They gave me my own little room and chairs, and so it was time. The people came in and sat, and I opened up with a flute song, and then I presented to them what I believe was part of the best medicine that natives could have. And it didn't come in a pill form, nor did it come in a liquid form. I've always believed that the best medicine that our Native people have is their culture, their language, their songs, their dances, the family unit. This is all medicine that helps us stay well and very connected to each other. And as I presented that type of medicine, when my session was over, many came up to me and was like, I'm glad that you brought it out that way, because that is so important that we understand that we've always had medicine in the form of, many people look at, and even in the Native world, look at the cedar, sage, sweetgrass, tobacco as medicine. And it is. But many have never took it to the form of our culture being medicine. our songs being medicine, our language being medicine, our dances being medicine. When we have all that, we're healthy. And so I just really felt like that was what I needed to talk to, because I didn't know anything about all this other modern or even traditional medicines that are given to the Native people today. So, but I was blessed to meet an elder, and he was of the Pueblo people. And after I gave my presentation, we ate together first, then I got up and did my presentation. And afterwards, he said, I want to give you something. I said, okay. So he says, you stay right here, I'll be right back. He left. And when he left, he came back, and he came back with this. He said, you know, I make these, but I don't just give them out freely. I give them to people that I feel are making a difference. And he said, and I just feel like I got to honor you today. And I said, honor me? He said, yeah, I want to honor you today. And he was an elder. He said, this is called the humanity stick. It's a talking stick. He said, whenever people come to his house and sit down and talk with him, before they speak, he gives them this stick, because it's the humanity stick. And they hold this stick while they speak. And he says he calls it the humanity stick because of the 4 colors of the races: the yellow, the white, the red, and the black. And so he handed it to me. He said, but I also want you to know that this is like a time setter. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you look at the day. The sun comes up in the east, and it's got the color of the yellow. And at noontime, when it's right over, shining bright with a white light. Then in the evening time, when it's starting to get right before dark, the sunset, it's red. And then the nighttime comes. It's black. He said, so this is more of a time table, or a time setting stick. He said, I want to give that to you. He said, but lastly, I want to give this to you because whenever you go and you strike it in the ground, that declares that you are supposed to be where you are supposed to be. And he handed that to me, and I was just like so blessed that this elder from the Pueblo people wanted to honor me with this. And so me and my wife, we were just in awe. And then he gave us also some ointment that he made, that he says that we rub on our any aches and pains, and it'll help. And so we took that. But you know, this very traditional medicine man was such a gracious man, such a humble man, but a powerful man. You could see it in his face. You could see it in his stature. The man was spiritually strong. And so for him to give this to me was such a blessing. And so I hold it with great reverence too, because of who gave it to me. So as we're there and we got through the American Indian Association American Indian Physicians Conference, right before we left, the organization blessed me with a bag of New Mexico Pinyon coffee. What it says right there. They gave me that, and then they also gave me this coffee cup. What a beautiful cup. Huh? I've already drank one good cup of coffee out of it. So I just want to thank the Association of American Indian Physicians Organization for giving me the opportunity to come and speak at their annual conference. And I was just honored to be a part of it. Also, what happened was something that, when I thought about it after I got back from New Mexico, was, man, how things just turned out. Because see, the day I was set to speak was a day that the Gathering of Nations powwow was going to be going on in Albuquerque, New Mexico. When I got locked up in 1984, that was the year that the Gathering of Nations started. So I was never able to attend the Gathering of Nations, and it's been going all these years. And then when I got out in 2021, and I wanted to go to the gathering, but I could never find a time to go. And then this year, they were saying, this is the last powwow of the Gathering of Nations. And when I heard that, I said, man, I'd sure like to go there. This is the last dance. They was calling it the last dance. And I really wanted to go, but I didn't see how my finances could allow me and my wife to go. And then all of a sudden, the Association of American Indian Physicians Foundation came to me and said, we'd like for you to come to our conference. And it's on April the 24th, the day that the Gathering of Nations Last Dance Powwow it's their first day. And so I'm like, wow, I get to go to the Gathering of Nations. And this is the last year, so I'm going to get to go, because after this, there's not going to be another one. Not only that, but, being invited as a special guest, they said, hey, we're going to pay for your travel, and we're going to pay for your room. And so that was a blessing, because me and my wife didn't have the money to travel that far and have a room, so that was covered. And so just the favor that we got, and I always thank Hazagadamasi above for this favor that we were having. So I'm now going to the Gathering of Nations, the last dance. My trip and my place to stay is covered. Had a great conference. And then the night we go to the powwow, the opening night. Me and my wife are driving up, and we get probably about a mile from the powwow grounds, and people are walking back to their cars, looking like they had been walking for a long time, because they have. I mean, we're a mile away from the fairgrounds. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Tammy, we're probably going to have to park way back here too. But we just kept driving, and I just said to Hazagadamasi, give us a good parking space. We need a good parking space. And just so happens, as soon as we pulled up right next to the fairgrounds, there was a parking space. We pulled in, and now we just had to walk across the street. And there we entered into the fairgrounds. So we got favor there. Then we get in, so blessed to see so many Native people gathered together. It was like a fair atmosphere, because it was. I mean, they had dancers from all kind of different tribes dancing at different times throughout the whole grounds, man, and drummers and stuff, and had lighted teepees all over the place. They had a band stage over here where them two young rappers, Native rappers, Little Mike and Bone, were up there, and I got to watch them and just walking around and just feeling the Native vibe. Such a wonderful feeling. And I was wearing a T-shirt that said "Straight Out of the Res," and so everybody I'd be walking by, they'd say, "Hey, I like that shirt. I like that shirt." Then we finally got ready to go in to the arena. And before we went in, a person come out and said, I'm going to tell you right now, there is no place to sit. There's hardly no place to stand. That place is packed. So me and Tammy went in with that understanding that, man, we'll probably just may not even see any of it if it's that packed. And we walked in, and sure enough, man, it was just totally overflowing with tribal people from all over the United States. And so I took my phone out, and they told us we couldn't stand in the walkway, so I just walked and filmed the grand opening with my phone. There was a lot of people, because I did it live on Facebook, so a lot of people were tuning in and watching it. But then we got over to the other side, and they had security guards there, and they would say, hey, you can't stand in the walkway. You got to get out, you got to move. And so me and Tammy, we went and got out of the walkway. And we were standing in the ramp area when one of the security guards got up and said, are y'all seated somewhere? And Tammy said, there's nowhere to sit, it's crowded. And the security guard said, oh, well, why don't you go down and sit down in these seats down here? Well, the seats that he was showing us were the seats where you had to buy and pay extra money to get a band to sit in those chairs, right there at the front row of the dance. And Tammy said, don't you got to have a band to go down there? And she just kind of, in the old Indian way, she looked at us and went, pointed with her lips and said, go ahead. So, we knew that was a free way right there when the Indian goes. So me and Tammy, we went and we got seated at the front row and got to watch the powwow right there. Such favor that we got while we was there. And actually, I forgot this one part. When we arrived in Albuquerque, the motel said we couldn't check in until 3 o'clock. We arrived at the motel at 1:30. And I went up and I said, I know y'all said we can't check in till 3, but can we at least get our key? And the woman looked at me and said, well, you're lucky because your room's already ready. Y'all can go ahead and check in, and gave me the key. So me and Tammy got to go right on in and check in. And so everybody else that came, they had to wait till 3, but such favor. And it was just a blessing. So anyway, the dance was so special. And I want to show you my shirt that I got. Gathering of Nations, the last dance. And I was so thankful that I was able to get this shirt. And there's another favor story there, because when I got up to get this shirt, they said they were out. And the only size they had left was 5X. I was like, man, I can't wear no 5X. My social media guy, Barry, he might can wear a 5X, but not me. So I was kind of disappointed because I wanted this shirt, The Last Dance. So while I'm looking to get other shirts for my kinfolk, my sister and her husband and my wife, and then all of a sudden this guy comes over and he throws this shirt down, and the woman that's talking to me, she turns around, picks up that shirt, and she goes, well, here's a 3X. I said, let me see it. I grab it and put it on. I said, I'll take this. There you go. I got the shirt that I wanted. At the last second, the guy comes and I don't know if he got it from the back or whatever, but he was part of the cell crew. He just threw it down. So now I was able to get the shirt I wanted. I'm just so thankful when things like this happen, and it makes you feel good. And me and my wife had a wonderful drive there and a wonderful drive back. But I wanted you to know that, to be able to go to this that I always wanted to go to, and how everything worked out to where I could make it and be able to enjoy the last dance of the Gathering of Nations. I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. And so that's what we've been doing this last week. Next month, we're traveling to Kansas City, where White Bison Ministries are going to be honoring me and my wife for the prison ministry that we do here in Oklahoma, and that's a blessing. And we just continue to do things for Native Wings like an Eagle organization. We're really starting to get more interest in the things that we're going to be doing in that cultural center. And I'm praying, and I want many of you to at least let that positive thoughts go out that Native Wings will continue to accomplish more. As a matter of fact, I'll let you know this. While I was there in Albuquerque, right after I did my session, I had several elders, one from California, one from New Mexico, and one from Washington, ask, how could Native Wings come to their states? And so we exchanged information. They're going to be calling me. One of the guys was the lieutenant governor of one of the pueblos there. I think it's in Farmington or Shiprock, somewhere like that. But he said their tribe's been wanting to establish an off-the-reservation reintegration service. Didn't know really how to go about it. So he asked if his people can call me and then we can sit down and discuss it. And I said, that's my vision. I want Native Wings to go nationwide because it's needed. And so pray that California, Washington, and New Mexico become extensions of Native Wings here in Oklahoma. So anyway, thank you for joining today. I hope that what I shared with you will let you see that we are in business. We are reaching out to our brothers and sisters coming out of prison. And we're just so thankful that the state of Oklahoma, who would not let me out of prison, is now recognizing my work here in Oklahoma. Only Creator can do that. So thank you for joining. And as I always say, Hadam Chihijadis. We will see you again.